Hi, and welcome to Fields on Pages, and not just fields. Hey, I'm Eric, and the topic for this video came from a discussion on LinkedIn one of the other days. And what I want to talk about today is the field. So we can insert a field on a page. Actually, let's get right to it. It's much easier to show than try to explain here in the darkness, because one of my lights actually just died. So this is the scary episode with the funky light. Here is my good old Visual Studio Code. So let's create a page. How about that? How about we create a page? And this page is, we'll call it the test customer card. So page type is a card. Wow, lowercase a. Source table is customer. Let's put a caption on just to be nice. Test customer card. Use its category in case we need to find it again. Application area because use it category. Okay, so now we have a page. Let's actually put it in the launch JSON so we don't forget. That's it. And we need a layout. So let me show you. So we have an area, and we'll just use the content. And on the area, we can insert a couple of things. But mostly what we're inserting, if we need to put content, we need to put data into it, we need to use a field. And that's pretty easy. We do field, and then we look at rec and or let's do something else. Let's use we insert the number here. Let's make it easy. We insert the number, and we insert another field. And this line, let's insert the name. And perfect. Here is and by the way, this is kind of funky that now I'm in an app that's for 17, and the code generator, when I select the field, doesn't prefix with rec, and so it sort of auto inserts code that's not really up to the latest and greatest. That's kind of fun, but that's another issue. So here we have something perfectly normal and makes a lot of sense. We have inserted fields. And if we run this, we should get a nice little card form. Let's see if I log in. And wakey, Business Central. Come on, you can do it. There it is. Perfect. Exactly what we needed. A card with 2 fields on it. So that's pretty good. But let's go back and look at the field. So what does it mean? So what if I want to insert something that's not a field? Well, let's actually look at the tooltip here. So the 2 parameters to a field is name and expression. If you saw my my video on my AL compiler, you know what an expression is. If you haven't seen that video, subscribe and take a look at that. That's a fun video. But an expression is a calculation, so to speak. So right now we have a very simple expression here. Rec.number. That's an expression. But rec.number plus ABC. That's also an expression. So let's run this now. Let's see what happens. Now it says 10,000 ABC as the number. So suddenly we have transformed. So no, this is no longer a field. This is just an expression. Let's take this one step further. And let's create a procedure. So let's call this smart field. And we'll give it a type. So let's give it, what is it? Let's do text. That's the easy one. So we'll do exit hello world. So now we have a procedure here called smart field. It returns a text. So the type of the procedure is text, and it returns hello. Let's do hello YouTube world. So instead of, now we can, you know what, let's keep the two nice one we have up here. So let's insert another field. And you can see that we have actually smart field here. So we can insert smart field, but we cannot, right away we get an error saying we cannot have a procedure and the name of the field. So remember that the first parameter is the name, and it's actually not the name of the field. That's you see, the tooltip here is slightly misleading, because this is not the name of the field. It is the name of the field, but it's not the name of a field in the table. This is the name of the visual control, aka a field, meaning that field is actually a visual control that can show data. They could have easily called it something else, and that would still make sense. But so let's call this for smart field control. And now I want to put parentheses on this one just to show you that now what we have, again, this is an expression, but our expression is now just a function call. Let's run it again. So now we have, and you see the caption of this now is just kind of taking the control name and turn it into a caption. So because in case of this one, because this is a field, this is truly a field, then that field actually has a caption. So we get a caption. But in this case, we don't, a function call does not have a caption. So in order for this one to make any sense, let's give it a caption and run it again. And now we have the caption. So let's switch between records. This is great. We get the same value in this one every time. So now our expression is just basically a function call. And it's kind of a static, stupid function call. But let's create one more here down here. So let's call it the smarter field. And let's also still return a text, because why not? But in this kind of case, we will take a customer record as the parameter. So whereas we don't have a customer record, well, we do, because that's actually so let's do control 2 and smarter field. So that's actually rec. So now, wow. my keyboard is really happy about capital A's today. So now rec is passed to this one. So let's do this again, and now we didn't really return anything, so that was actually pointless. Wow, sorry about that. Let's this one. So now we could do exit name plus. No, let's do the opposite. You always people. So let's do smarter name here. And again, this one, now we're actually breaking. You see this? Because we get an error saying, hey, rec is implicit and that will go away. But that's actually not what we want. We want customer. We could have done this just by accessing name. The problem comes that you might want to use this in a non-rec-ish kind of scenario, and then you get into all sorts of problems. So I have a strong belief in whatever all function calls, if you can make them comply to the functional programming perspective, that the only stuff they work on is the parameters that are given, and the only thing they send back is through parameters and return values, then they're much more resilient, that you can use them in all sorts of scenarios. If they rely on a global record like rec, then suddenly it becomes much more complicated to make sure that you're actually running on the right one. So let's try this out, and then I'm going to transform my beautiful card here to a list. Oh, I closed down the browser. Excellent. So now we have this one, and let's see the next one. That looks right. So let's actually just change this into a list, and let's add a repeater. There we go. Let's run this again, just so we can see that this really works on all the records. Boom. Smarter, 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 smarter. So now we have taken the field and just use it as a function call. An expression works great. So this is a trick I use all the time. If I need to display something, and that something might, if it's a lot of stuff, you can use a flow field. If you just need to look up to something else, like you have the customer number, you need to show the customer name, that's done through a flow field, lookup flow field. That's very easy and works quite well. But in some case, you might need to do something that, no, let's do if random 100 is larger than 50, then return smarter, else let's now I need to be politically correct, so the opposite of smarter is let's go now. No, see that this is where I can get into trouble. So let's just do that. If not smarter, then it's bluer. That's politically correct. So in this case, we introduce something random, meaning that there might be a decision to go showing one number or another number. So in this case, some of them are blue, and we do a 5, then they change this around, meaning that we can create a field that is controlled by code. So let's recap. The second parameter to field is not really a field, neither is the first one. it can be. So let's do one more. Control 3 here, and then smart date. Let's do something like that. Start. Smart date instead of start date. That's a difficult one to process. So let's do a procedure called smart date. So now we return the date instead. And since it's almost Christmas, I'm gonna do 2020 12 24 D. There we go. I'm Danish, so Christmas is on the 24th, not the 25th, but your mileage may vary. So now, because the type of the expression is a date, well, we get a nice formatted date here. If I turn this into, if I turn this into a decimal, so instead of smart date returning a date, then it's gonna exit. Let's just do, a nice decimal number here. Now the compiler, the system knows that the type of the type of my function is now a decimal. So it knows that this is a decimal. So even though I put more decimal digits in this number, it's formatted to 2 because 2 is standard unless you do something. So again, field is not field. Field is just showing the value of an expression. If that's a express, and every expression has a type. So here's the so you can see what types can you use. Well, there's certainly some things that you can. That'll probably break. We could try to do that in a minute, but I cannot return a list, and I cannot return a record. So there's some, and I cannot return a variant. So the field command can just figure out what is the type of the data it needs to display and make sure that it transform the rendering of that to become that data type. Same thing happens if the type is blob or media, then field knows that, hey, I gotta do something to display an image. And actually there's one more, and the easiest way, I'll just switch over to my little compiler thingy if I can find it. Here we go. Because I want to show something in this one. Actually, I will need to go to this one. There we go. And I probably should have prepared this a bit better. Let's see if this even compiles. So since you saw the compiler the last time, it has now have support for some different things, including option fields. But that is actually not what I want to show you. I want to show you, let's run it. So you see here, I have a menu in the middle of the screen with evaluate, download, run. So what is this? Let me show you. So here's the something. So evaluate here. That's a field again. So field eval, but the value that I'm inserting here is a label. So you see, if you have those eval, run, and download, those are the three menus in the middle of the screen, but they are labels. It's actually a trick that Microsoft uses themselves. If I go to the transformation rules, if you remember the video on the custom transformation rule, it actually had the same thing. So if you go into a transformation rule, you have the update here. So what is that? That's also just a label. But if you look at let's actually go back to the other one. Let's go back to the other one. So if we create, and now we need, even though, you know, don't do a label, it's label. This is a label. So if I go up here, and let's go back to a card for a second. Wow. There we go. So let's insert again a field, a label, and then application area equals something, and it's not editable. And we need a trigger on drill down. Message hello. There we go. So now the type of the expression is type label. It sounds kind of weird, because what is a label? But label is a data type. And I broke something. What did I break? Let's see, what did I break? I removed the repeater. Oh, haha, I was about to do something here. So decimal, that was a decimal, sorry. I was blind. It's okay, you're yelling at the screen. This is a late night here. So, see, now this is kind of still kind of weird. So let's remove the show caption, remove that one. Let's try it again. And now it's just a label here, and with a trigger. So that's like a menu, a link, whatever we want to call it, in the middle of a page. What I did in the compiler was that I created a horizontal grid and put them in there, so I kind of got a line of these. But the point, and again, the whole point of this video, and this is the last time I'm gonna drill it in, is that it's this field, but it's not a field. It's just showing the concept of some expression. In this case, our expression is actually a label. So we're showing a label, and that turns into a link if it has a trigger on it. So those are what I call smarter fields. I think it's important that you think past that it says fields, so I can only put fields I have in table. The example that we discussed on LinkedIn was showing on the item or purchase header, I think it was, showing some content from a specific line. So if you have like a hero item on a PO. So you buy something, and that's the important part. And then the rest is whatever you need for the hero item, and you want to show the hero item on the list or somewhere else. You can do this with this, and this also avoid, because I've seen other implementations where you just insert a global variable and then you use the on after get record to populate the global variable. And that's true, you had to do something like that in older versions, but now it's just an expression, and you can, as you can see, you can go nuts, or you can do stuff. You can certainly put actually I'm totally gonna go back, because I was just thinking about a thing. I have no idea if this will work, so there's only one way to find out. Let's do a one here where we do 4 = 5, caption equal Boolean expression, application area all. A 4 = 5, that's kind of boring. It's random 100 is larger than 50. Let's try this. You think it'll work? So this is an expression of type bool, so a Boolean expression, and let's F5. See that? That's pretty cool. So again, the second parameter to field is a true expression. In this case, this is a Boolean expression, and it works. So I guess Microsoft did this pretty good. Kudos to the AI language team for this. I find this pretty cool. Anyway, that's it. Have a wonderful time. Remember to subscribe. The Christmas special is coming up. Q&A is planned. Lots of people have already asked me questions on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and if you have a question that you want me to answer about anything, could be Business Central, it could be, why is Yoda sitting there, whatever, ask me. Maybe your question will be answered in the video. So until then, have a wonderful time. See ya.